It's always a good day when we get new Stormtroopers, especially when one of those troopers is my absolute favorite version of the Stormtrooper. I am so happy to say that we have a vintage collection Force Unleashed Stormtrooper Commander. When this thing was revealed, I was so excited, and getting this thing in hand, it is so cool. I'm so happy we got it, but this mold is already outdated. We'll talk about it. But even though this is a second version of this mold, it's already outdated. It's unfortunate, but I'm hoping we will get a new Stormtrooper mold with ball-jointed hips instead of ball-hinged hips. Because if we get a Stormtrooper with ball joints in the hips, then it is going to be top tier. But for now, these figures are still very nice. I still very much enjoy these figures in this new Stormtrooper mold, and I think the change that they made to the mold is really worth it. So, obviously, the Stormtrooper Commander is amazing, and yes, if you're wondering, I had to get a second one to keep carded, because it's one of my favorite versions of the Stormtrooper, period. I needed it carded. It's so nice. And I also ended up getting a second Heavy Trooper, but you'll find out why. If you know me, and you know that I'm a Clone Trooper fan, you might have an idea as to why. But let's look at the Stormtrooper Commander first, because he is so hype, and I need to talk about him right away. Let's show off the carded version, since I actually have a carded one to show off. I love the image that they chose. It's so perfect. I love it so much. He's on Felucia. He looks awesome. He looks so nice in the card. I love that the secondary color they picked was blue. It just looks so nice. And another thing, too, it actually has the Force Unleashed logo up at the top of the card, and it looks so nice there. Previously, it's just been like Expanded Universe or something like that. But seeing that Force Unleashed logo with Galen Marek in the O looks so nice. This is such an awesome card. I'm so happy to have one carded. And they've really increased the quality of the card backs, too. You can see this wave of gaming greats is just the two Stormtroopers, so we don't have too much to talk about here. It's so sad, though. It took up until VC 254 to finally get this in the Vintage Collection, but I'm so happy we finally did. So, with that out of the way, let's look at the figure itself. It's a very, very nice figure. I do have to start by saying it does use the upgraded version of the latest Stormtrooper body mold. It does have ankle rockers now, so instead of just like the swivel hinge, where it'll just go side to side and up and down, it can actually tilt, which is very nice. But it still has the ball hinges at the hips, so you still have to work with that and try to figure out how to get it moving, and it's still kind of awkward and not really ideal. I'm really hoping we get ball joints here soon on Stormtroopers, because it's so close. It's so close. I mean, from the waist up, I really have no complaints. I mean, really nice waist joint, pretty decent helmet articulation. Like, we're really getting there to like the definitive Stormtrooper. There's not much else you can do better than this. One thing I really have to show off, though, before I even really get into a lot of the nitty-gritty of this guy, I have to do the comparison. So this is the 2022 Vintage Collection Stormtrooper Commander, and this is what we got all the way back in the day. This is my original Stormtrooper Commander. You can see it's a darker blue. It's much darker. It still has weathering, but it's very scratch-heavy and very sparkle-heavy, while this is very, the weathering's printed on. They're both very nice. The new one does have the more accurate deco. I would say it has the more accurate blue color, and it has the more accurate deco on the arms, and just the overall look of it is more accurate, I'd say. The helmet, too, that old helmet, was pretty goofy looking, but I always loved it. And unfortunately, this version of the Stormtrooper, this body mold, is notorious for discoloring. So even though this one has from time to time, I'm hoping it will stand the test of time and not discolor. I do have a version of this figure carded, and that one's discoloring. And this one is, I can tell it's not as white as it used to be, but I'm hoping it's got some time left before it starts turning yellow. Man, look at that. I love the Stormtrooper Commander so much. It's by far one of my favorites, and I'm so happy we got it. Let's just say if I walk into a GameStop and they so happen to have another one, I might get it. I don't know. We'll see. So he did come with the E11 blaster rifle, which is pretty standard. It's the Rogue One version, so it has a little extra light on it. At least I think that's like an extra light. And it also does come with the rifle. I'll just show it here in the carded one. It does come with the rifle. I think it's IG-11's rifle. It's very rubbery. It's very soft. You can see it has a lot of weathering on it. It's a pretty nice weapon. I really like it. You'll see my use for it in a minute. But yeah, it's pretty standard articulation for what we would expect with a 3/4 inch Stormtrooper. You know, it has the in and out of the wrists, still has the ball hinges at the hips. But, I mean, with all this articulation and all this range, you can get some really nice poses. I mean, you can get him kneeling pretty much no problem. You can really work with a lot of the joints here and get him looking really nice. I am so happy that we finally got this. And sure, the hips aren't perfect, but I've never been like, you know, the ball hinge hips have never been a deal breaker for me. I mean, look, they're still usable. You can still get some very nice poses out of these hips. Like, he can still kneel no problem. He can still look great. It's still a very nice figure. It's just not as fluid to move as the figures with the ball joints nowadays. But yeah, the Stormtrooper Commander, absolute home run for me. Love this figure. If you're a fan of Stormtroopers, of The Force Unleashed, you owe it to yourself to get this one. It's so nice looking. And that leads us into another one that I actually don't have as much of a connection of because I've never played Jedi Fallen Order. I will someday whenever I get around to getting a, you know, console newer than an Xbox 360. But it's the heavy, what's the technical name? Heavy Assault Stormtrooper. So yeah, he's really cool. He is basically a standard white trooper with a black pauldron on and a big heavy cannon. And you may be wondering, oh, J4, why'd you get a second one? You know, why'd you do that? So let's just say I gave the second one the rifle from the Stormtrooper Commander just to kind of give him a different weapon. Because if you're a clone fan, let's just say this has been a long time coming. Yeah. So yeah, I bought a whole other figure just to give Commander Thorn the weapon that he should have came with in the first place. But hey, it was worth it. So you can see there is a difference with the with this one and that one because this one has the big shield on it. It is a piece that you get. You put the shield on, then you put the blast effect on. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. You get this big old energy shield. But, I mean, obviously Thorn didn't have that. But still, I think it's really nice that you get these effect pieces with the Heavy Artillery Stormtrooper. I just think it makes them work really nice. So, the main thing here is the fact that, essentially, what we got, other than that nice weapon, is an obtainable version of the upgraded Stormtrooper. Take that pauldron off. Notably, the ball peg is actually white. That's kind of odd. Yeah, just take that pauldron off if you want, and you got yourself the ankle rocker normal Stormtrooper. If you weren't able to get the Walmart exclusive one, because we live in a world where a standard Stormtrooper figure nowadays is Walmart exclusive. Anyways, yeah, I wasn't able to get an order on that. But hey, I have one now. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I'll keep the pauldron on him or not. I might just have him as a standard trooper, or I might have him as, you know, like an officer, I guess. Because I'm going to keep the other one as like the heavy artillery, because I just think it's a cool addition to the Imperial Army. But yeah, I'm pretty happy I got that. It's never a bad thing to get an extra Stormtrooper, right? So yeah, I think it was worth it to get the Thorn. Articulation's the same. We've seen this mold. I think these ankles work really well. There's not too much else to say about this one. It's nice, looks good. Let's look at this one. Yeah, it looks the part. I like it. He holds the cannon all right. I've had some issues holding the handle, the carry handle right there, but he holds it well enough. Yeah, he looks really cool with that blast effect. And if you get him posed just right, he can actually stand up without a display base with this big. It's kind of heavy. But if you do it just right, you can actually get him balanced. There we go. You can see he's ever so slightly moving, but it's doable. It's doable to actually get him balanced. Man, it's so cool. I love me some new Stormtroopers, and I think these are really worthy additions to the collection. So there we go, guys. Not too much else to say, because, I mean, like I said, they're the same Stormtroopers that... We've seen this mold for a while now, and this is the new improved, like, from the shins down version of it, but I'm really hoping we get a version improved with ball joints at the hips, because Hasbro's done such an excellent job with the ball joints at the hips on these new troopers, and I'd just like to see it. Let's not get that fully glared. Oh, isn't that weird looking? Look at that. Look at how it's, like, shadowed. That's so odd. Anyways, yeah, cool figures. I dig them. You should buy them. You should buy them, man. I really recommend these. I mean, if you're not a big Trooper fan, you don't need them in your life. If you're more like, oh, I need a Darth Vader and an Obi-Wan Kenobi, then yeah, you don't need random troopers from video games that are either, you know, kind of obscure or also kind of obscure and like 14 years old. You don't need them, but I really like them. Alrighty, guys, I think I've rambled on long enough. There's my review of these two new Gaming Greats troopers. Highly recommend them. That Stormtrooper Commander is such an exciting release for me. I absolutely love it. Alrighty, guys, there we go. Have a good one. Special shout out to the patrons at Patreon, as always. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Alrighty, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.